Now the left is pro-censorship, pro-war, and engaged in horrible medical mistreatment of gay children in the name of trans medicine.
Michael Shellenberger, who has been a lefty his entire life, California lefty, he went on Joe Rogan to talk about how radical the left has become.
Has there been any debate or discussion? Like, has anybody tried to hold him to the fire as to why these people are being banned, and please prove that this is misinformation? Has there been any sort of discussion?
Oh, huge. I mean, it's maybe one of the biggest issues in Brazil. It's the president of Brazil who probably hasn't gotten enough criticism for it because he's going along with it. He defended the censorship. This is Lula.
I always heard that he was a great guy when Jair Bolsonaro was the president. The narrative was, oh, Bolsonaro was a dictator, that he was a bad guy. But I know so many Brazilians, from jiu-jitsu, I know so many Brazilians, and they all love Bolsonaro. I was like, I am so confused about their politics over there. I don't know what's going on. But Lula was supposed to be this guy that was for the people. And to hear that he is a part of this whole disinformation crackdown, alleged disinformation crackdown, is so disheartening.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me personally, so the funny thing is I had this, just coincidentally, I have this deep relationship with Brazil because I lived in Brazil in the early 90s. I was actually working towards my PhD in the semi-Amazon. I went to Rio and Sao Paulo. I interviewed Lula in 1994, sat across from him just like I'm sitting across from you right now.
What was your take on him?
At the time I loved him. I mean, I was on the radical left for, up until, 5 minutes ago. And so,
up until the Kool-Aid wore off.
Yeah. I mean, even up until the censorship part. I mean, when you start censoring, you're just like, not to digress, but it's kind of like, back in the 90s, we were anti-war, pro-free speech, and pro-gay rights.
Yeah.
Now the left is pro-censorship, pro-war, and engaged in horrible medical mistreatment of gay children in the name of trans medicine. Yeah. So it's like, literally, like, who changed here?
Right.
My values did stay the same, at least on those things.
All right, so we hear that from all sorts of people, and that was a very Bill Maher-esque statement. Bill's going to still go the other way. It sounds like Shellenberger will vote for Trump. Michael, the big thing I've been pushing for is I want Rogan to officially announce it. It may not matter which way he votes specifically in Texas, if he actually votes for Trump or not. I think the message has clearly been sent, but I would love to see him do it. And now it turns out, this just came out a couple days ago, Donald Trump will be on that little Joe Rogan program.
You're doing a lot of podcasts recently. One that I would love to see you on is, I think Joe Rogan has to have you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Oh, sure I would.
I think Joe, besides us, Joe's
I think I'm doing it, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you are going to do Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I am.
Joe Rogan's the best in the game for sure. And I think,
Did Joe become so well known because of the UFC, and he does a great job with that, right? What was it that made Joe the best?
During COVID, he was very outspoken on all the corruption going on during COVID. And I think that's personally when I started watching him a lot too. And he's an honest guy too, right?
He is.
So I think
good guy.
And I think you guys together would just
and he's got a good voice. That's important.
Yeah.
So look, we'll see whether Rogan actually makes the full move and fully supports him or whatever else, but the message he's sending to his audience clearly is that. Knowles, the reason I wanted to show that clip, though, was not just to tease that he's going to be on there, but I like that Trump's sort of response about it is like, what made him big? Like, you can see what drives Trump, and success is what drives Trump. And I think that that's the thing that now is attracting so many people, say Elon Musk and RFK and the rest of them, to this thing. It's like success for America. How novel.
And by the way, the fact that Elon Musk and RFK have endorsed Trump does make it more possible for Joe to do it. Because Joe Rogan is one of the most consequential people in the country. When you say, I don't know if it would move people, it certainly wouldn't move Texas probably, but Joe Rogan endorsing Donald Trump would move a lot of people. This is one of the most important communicators in the country. And it's because he is a pretty normal guy. He's a guy who has complex political views. Some of them are in tension with one another, but he strikes you as an honest broker. He's obviously a very talented communicator. And so, yeah, that really does matter. Why has Joe not had Trump on yet? Because it's a huge risk, because the libs threaten to completely destroy you if you in any way suggest that the man's not Hitler. I mean, Jimmy Fallon, think about how they raked him over the coals because he told some jokes on a late night show on NBC. Trump's been on NBC late night shows since the 80s, okay?
Right.
And so there's a huge risk for Rogan. It sounds like he's willing to take that risk now because if all of a sudden you got guys like Elon, guys like Bobby Kennedy, for goodness sakes, he's a Kennedy, and he's a pretty prominent Kennedy, who are saying, no, this Trump, he's not so bad. It not only has the effect of having a person with some authority endorse someone, it opens up the realm of discourse for the guy at his water cooler to say, hey, I actually don't think Trump is Hitler, and I'm not crazy.